Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and boy oh boy do we ever have something interesting to take a look at today. Yep, there are new Rebirth figures out, and they are very, very overweight. So what we're looking at are some brand new Takara Tomy Jurassic World Rebirth figures, and as you can see, they're very stylized and super silly. We've got 4 species in this line: the T-Rex, the Aquilops, the D-Rex, and the Spino. So it is pretty exciting to actually have a D-Rex because, you know, this is the first Takara Tomy D-Rex that we've had, and there are just honestly few figures out there for the D-Rex, so it's fun to have another one, even if it's a goofy stylized one like this. So bringing the D-Rex up, taking a look here, a closer look at it, you can see obviously, just like with the others, he is extremely chunky. And I guess that's the appeal of these guys, is the fact that they're very overweight. He looks super silly with so many arms sitting on him here. But we can see the head is sculpted fairly decently. There's some fine texturing for the most part in the face, but it's a little bit smoothed over. We can see the teeth, but they're not painted or anything, unfortunately. There is a little variation of color in the eyes, though. You can see it's actually painted with a dark gray and then a black for the pupil. There is some nice airbrushing that's been applied to the figure, as you have a light tan for the primary body color, but then you have some darker browns that they've kind of sporadically applied just through the figure, basically striping down, but they have also applied like a slight speckling here and there, and you see some of it move down into the legs and everything. You've got a really short stubby tail, but the D-Rex doesn't really have a huge tail in the film anyway. But we've got the claws painted, which is nice, at least as far as these toe claws. A little sloppy, but you've got like some musculature and stuff sculpted out in the legs as well as the arms. The shoulder blade really protruding right there, the spinal column up there, some of those kind of osteoderms up on the back of the head, and then of course you also have the claws and everything painted for all of the hands as you move down through the stomach. So that's pretty much all you get when it comes to these figures. It is just a big chubby D-Rex, actually a small chubby D-Rex, just sitting here again looking like he ate way too many Krabby Patties or something. And you can also see there is an opening on the underside. They are actually soft rubber figures. Like, they have released some similar style figures in the past where it was like basically Jurassic Park dinosaurs or Jurassic World dinosaurs that were sleeping. And I actually still have another round of those I've never reviewed here on the channel. I'll have to do it at some point. But these ones are not like those. Those ones were harder material. This one's like, again, kind of like almost like a bath toy, it feels like. We do also have the Spinosaurus, which is super chunky, which again, pretty much all of them are. This time though, we actually do have the teeth painted, which is nice to see. And we also have the eyes painted with a yellow and a nice big black pupil. Really dark brownish tone, almost like mixing with blacks for the upper part of the dinosaur, and then it transitions really nice and smoothly to a fairly lighter brown, but not really a light brown in the grand scheme of things for the lower body. Super fat dinosaur though. Like, this guy, I don't even think he could stand up, especially with the shorter legs in the Spinosaurus. He'd just be like basically blobbing his way around, looking almost like a snail. As you move back into the tail, you do sort of have that paddle-like tail, but again, it's just so short, it's honestly hard to even make it out. A little bit of skin creasing right there, though, which looks okay. We do have the arms, again, held into the body. The claws painted, which is nice. Same deal for the claws on the feet. Also looks pretty good. The skin texture is okay, but not super impressive. You do also have the yellow moving along the back that stripes down all the way out through the tail. Overall, I would say he's pretty fun and definitely adorable for what he is. If you're looking for cute dinosaurs, you're going to find them with these guys, I guess. We've also got Dolores after Dolores has eaten way too much, and you can see again is also now super chunky. The figure does have some decent detail as well as some okay paintwork, basically a yellowish tone of color, but there are some browns that have been airbrushed in here and there, especially as you move up into the frill. We have a brown for the eye and then a black for the pupil. You do have a brown right here and then a brown for the beak, but the brown for the beak actually looks like maybe it has a little bit of variation of color, even maybe some black to that as well. As you move down, you do have some more of the variations of browns moving along the back with a darker brown striping leading out through the tail. Again, pretty much the way you see Dolores appear in the film. We can see the spinal column moving down along the back. Again, musculature through the arms and legs and stuff. You can also see the claws are all painted, even the dew claws, which is actually pretty exciting. And again, that's pretty much it. You're not going to find a whole lot with these figures, but it's just a very goofy, pretty cute looking version of Dolores. And again, does have that kind of bath toy sort of feel to it. And then, of course, we've got Ember the T-Rex. And you can see we've got the eyes painted with a yellow, nice black pupil, again in the front, so it looks like it's looking straight at us. The teeth are all sculpted out and all painted. The texturing looks pretty decent on this one, but of course it's nowhere near as highly detailed as you would actually find on a better sculpted version of this T-Rex. You've got the spinal column moving along the back. You have basically a grayish tone of color, because why wouldn't you, for this one, with a brown that moves over the face and then a brown striping that moves along the back of the T-Rex. You also have a lighter, kind of like a tannish sort of a tone for the underside of the tail that does move up along the underside of the belly, but it seems darker up here compared to what you see back there. You do, of course, also have the claws and everything painted, even the dew claws on the T-Rex. Of course, it's just basically sitting on its rear end and just sitting here as plump as it could possibly be. And the T-Rex in general is, pretty chunky in Jurassic World Rebirth, so it's amazing that they were able to make him somehow even worse. I do like that they actually almost have like the bulkiness of the throat, though. Again, kind of giving it that male-like T-Rex look, which is pretty cool. Again, decent texturing and everything throughout. Fairly nice paintwork, honestly, for these guys, considering they're just really silly figures. I think the paintwork isn't half bad for what they are. But that is probably the most unique group of Jurassic World Rebirth figures that, honestly, maybe anybody has released so far. Definitely from Takara Tomy. They are fairly small. All of them pretty much the same size. I think the best thing you could do is get a height. So right around 2 inches or 5 centimeters. A little bit shorter for the others, honestly, because the Spino has its snout up so high. But, roughly in the 2-inch or less range of size for these figures. And then you're not going to find much in the way of a length, pretty much around 2 inches or 5 centimeters in length as well. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our super silly Jurassic World Rebirth Takara Tomy figures. And as you can see again, they are really quite small, pretty much sitting in minifigure size range for sure. And to further show you that, here is a Mattel Mini on the left and a Captives Mini on the right, showing you that these guys, although much chunkier, are definitely sitting in the minifigure size range. And here I've brought in one of the sleeping dinos. We have a sleeping Indominus Rex, which you can see is roughly in the same size range as these again, not sleeping, but very chunky versions. And the older ones were pretty much looking like babies, but just asleep. So that was kind of like their gimmick. Now they've obviously changed them to have them more awake, still looking very baby-like, I would say, but extremely overweight. So pretty much the same style with just some slight differences and a very new material, as these ones were not squishy or rubbery or anything like that. So kind of the same similar style, so if you do have these guys, you're going to have a pretty good idea of the size of these others. So these brand new Jurassic World Rebirth Takara Tomy chunky dinos are pretty fun. If you like stylized, goofy dinosaurs, I think you'll like these, especially if you're looking for more D-Rex. Maybe you just want some more D-Rex in your collection. This might be a fun but silly way to go. Either way, they're fun for what they are. Again, they are exactly what they're meant to be. Really silly, very stylized versions of Jurassic World Rebirth figures. You've got 4 pretty cool species. Honestly, I would say 4 of the best species in the film. Everybody loves a T-Rex. Everybody seems to love Spinosaurus. There's a pretty good following for the D-Rex. Some people hate it, some people love it, but you can't dare deny that it is, the poster boy pretty much for Jurassic World Rebirth. And then you have Dolores. Who doesn't love Dolores? But you've got some pretty decently sculpted figures looking fairly screen accurate, but still following that very stylized trend of these figures. You have very chunky appearances to all of them, which makes them adorable at the same time, and some fairly decent paintwork. Now, obviously, they're not going to be nearly as highly detailed as some other figures, but I don't think they really need to be. I feel like they are pretty much exactly what they are meant to be. super goofy versions of these dinosaurs. But unfortunately, seeing as they are, again, something that you have to import to get to here, and no stores here in the United States really carry Takara Tomy, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for these probably than you would want to. So that is something to keep in mind. Unless you really want them, you're going to end up paying like probably somewhere between like 35 to 40 bucks, unless you can find them for a good deal on a website. Sometimes you can find them fairly cheaper, but I feel like the price is definitely a little bit much. But if somebody was actually, if a store was carrying them here in the United States, it would be a lot more convenient, then you wouldn't have to worry about such higher prices. But since you do have to import them, again, they are going to be a little bit higher price, so you have to take that into consideration as to how much you really want these goofy figures. But I'm not unhappy with my purchase. I'm pretty happy to have them here now added to my collection. So if you are interested, I would say check eBay or Mercari or somewhere like that. You know, pretty much the standard places where you find Takara Tomy stuff. Grab them if you want them, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.